Garret, trust me, I insisted. You have so much potential. You're wasting it here in Lothering, you and Bethany both. I don't know, Alan. Garret sighed as he considered my proposal. Mom and Dad need my help here on the farm. Oh, please. I waved my hand dismissively. I stood and moved to the window, looking outside. You and I both know that Carver isn't going anywhere and can't wait to get out from under your shadow. If you and Bethany both come to the college, you could learn far more about magic than your father could teach you, and you could meet so many influential people. With your potential, you could work your way into any number of positions or even marry into a noble family if you play your cards right. I appreciate your faith in me, Alan, but I doubt I could reach quite that high. Garret leaned back in his chair. I don't understand why you're so insistent on this. Bethany and I aren't anything special. I wheeled on him, trying to express my sincerity. Garret, you have to trust me in this. If I didn't think you two had the ability to do so well, I wouldn't waste my time. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Bethany rolled her eyes, finally chiming in. I groaned and looked at Bethany. I'm being genuinely sincere. How can I convince the two of you? You cannot, Morrigan stated matter-of-factly. Her tone implied that she was losing her patience. She glared at my cousins. If the two you have no interest in gaining more power, then you are of no use to Alan or myself. If you have no aspirations being mucking about on a farm and living a life where you die unremembered, and having made no more mark upon the world that siring a litter of more farm hands, then so be it. Why Alan would waste more words on you than is necessary is mind-boggling. Who do you think you are to speak to us that way? Bethany gasped. I am the person, your dear cousin, who worked his way to become the head of your family, the dean of the Amelian College, a college named after him if you don't remember, and one of the heroes of the Battle of Ostagar, chose to bring into his confidence because I am capable of bringing his vision to life, Morrigan snarled. And you are the ungrateful and short-sighted progeny of his uncle and aunt who can't see that he's trying to do you a favor. Garret sighed and stood up to stop Bethany from sniping back a retort. Say we did go to the college with you, Alan. What's the plan? We go to the college, learn magic, then what? It's more of a play-it-by-ear sort of thing, I admitted. I know the Arles of Amaranthine, the Princess of Orzammar, and the leaders of the elves. I've already discussed possibilities with the Arles, and she's looking into possible matches for the both of you among noble circles. Tell them all of it or none at all, Morrigan snapped at me. You know I can't, I sighed. Morrigan, for all of her strengths, lacked subtlety or the ability to understand that some things didn't need to be said. What's going on? Garret asked. He crossed his arms and glared at me. If there's more going on here that you're getting us involved in, you need to tell us. The Arles of Amaranthine has big plans for Ferelden, I said, as I tried to explain what I could. Plans that could reshape the entire country. I want the two of you to have the chance to take advantage of everything that will happen. In fact, I happen to know that there's high noble position up for grabs that she's going to be looking to give to someone once she has her hands on it. A high noble position? Bethany gasped as she and Garret exchanged surprised expressions. Which position? I looked at Morrigan to see if she thought it was a good idea to tell them, and she simply shrugged, as if she had already given her answer earlier. I sighed and looked at my cousins each in turn. The Tenir of Gwarin. The two of them gasped in shock. What? I swatted the air to get them to lower their voices. Quiet down! It's not a guarantee that you'll get it, but there's a possibility since the Arles will need my support in another matter. Wait. Garret paused as he tried to process the information. An Arles is lower in standing than a Tyrn. If there's a Tyrnir available, why wouldn't she take it? A Tyrn is only one step lower than royalty. She'd only want to... Maker preserve us, Bethany whispered as she and Garret both came to the same conclusion. She wants to become queen. It seems they no longer have a choice, Morrigan smirked, her yellow eyes grinning wickedly at me. Somehow she knew they'd figure it out. And she's right, I hummed. Now that you've figured it out, I don't have much of a choice. The two of you are coming with me so I can make sure you don't say anything, and so I can try and put the two of you in a better position for getting the Tyr. I don't remember agreeing to this, Garret shook his head. You agreed to this the moment you started asking questions and came to the final conclusions, I responded, adding a firm tone of authority to my voice. You insisted on wanting to know, and these are the consequences of having that knowledge. Pack what you need right now. I'll tell your parents. You can't simply decide that, Garret protested. As a matter of fact, I can, I growled back. I was losing my patience. I had hoped that they would have simply accepted the invitation without question, but I suppose that was asking too much. I am the head of this family, and you are both obligated to bow to my wishes. I would have preferred to do this nicely, but you've left me little choice. Get packing. I'll be back to collect after I'm done speaking with your parents. With that, I turned and left the room. Morrigan stayed behind, likely to ensure that the pair would do as I bid them. I moved through the house, which was sizable for the area since the Hawkes were minor nobility. I made a direct path for my uncle's study, where he did most of his research and could be found more often than not. I paused at the door, collecting my composure before rapping my knuckles against it to knock. Uncle Malcolm, may we speak? Of course, the response came. Please, come in. I entered the study and took a moment to enjoy the sight of it. Malcolm was an avid researcher of ancient lore. He had statues and artifacts dating back well past the time of ancient Tevinter. His curiosity led him to some impressive discoveries, but he'd yet to actually put them to paper in any concise manner. If he would, I had no doubt that he would be considered a world-class scholar throughout Thydus. Malcolm, thin and frail from his illness, smiled at me from his lounger. Alan, my boy, what can I do for you? I motioned to a nearby chair. May I? Oh, of course, lad. He chuckled. Forgive my manners. I've been engrossed in reviewing some work I did back in Kirkwall for the Grey Wardens. Quite the tale, I can tell you that. I've no doubt, Uncle. I smiled at him. I knew the work he was referring to, and something irked me that he would be looking into it again. But his health would prevent him from retracing his footsteps, so I assumed there was nothing to worry about. Malcolm had a way of putting people at ease, even when they were worried about something. He set the memoirs aside and turned to give me his full attention. What can I do for you, my boy? I wanted to present a casual nature to my decision, so I sat back and leaned into my chair. I've spoken with Garret and Bethany about an opportunity at the college. Oh, the college! Malcolm brimmed with excitement. My boy, I tell you now that you are starting a revolution with that idea. You'll go down in the history books, make no mistake about it. If it weren't for my health, I would have packed up the family and moved there to help you. I would have loved to have been one of your professors. Uncle, I smiled. I am happy to name you one of our professors. Just because you can't be there in person doesn't mean we can't allow students to learn from you through correspondence. If you would like to prepare a course, I will have students begin studying it. This seemed to bring a sparkle to Malcolm's eyes. Do you mean it, lad? Don't tease an old man like this. It's cruel. I shook my head and chuckled. I assure you, I'm quite serious, Uncle. You know how much I admire your research. Your knowledge should be passed down for other to benefit from. He clapped his hands together in delight. You won't regret this decision, Alan, I assure you. His excitement brought a smile to my face. I have no doubt, Uncle. Actually, this has something to do with why I came to speak to you. Oh, his curiosity was raised. Is that so? Well then, please go on. I've wanted to bring Garret and Bethany to the college to help with some of the classes and to eventually become professors themselves. I carefully worded my plan. As you know, the king has decreed that any mage who attains a level capable of becoming a professor at the college can be granted a stipend for becoming a village or town guardian. As my cousins, I believe they will have opportunities beyond even that. I think it's in their best interest to come with me so that I can give them those opportunities." Malcolm beamed, seeming quite pleased. "That will be excellent for them both. Your consideration for your cousins is commendable, my boy. I'm sure they'll be excited for the opportunity." "I spoke to them about it before coming to you," I admitted, adding a hesitant tone to my voice to make it seem like the news wasn't good. I didn't want to spring the idea on them out of nowhere. They didn't seem at all pleased with the prospect. Perhaps you could convince them where I could not. "Didn't seem pleased with it?" Malcolm seemed taken aback. "Nonsense and poppycock. They'll never have a better opportunity than this. Come, my lad, we'll speak with them together." I stood and helped Malcolm up as he took his cane. I stuck close to him as we walked, slowly back to where I had left Garret and Bethany. I wanted to be able to catch him in case his body failed him. The process was slow going, but it wasn't an unpleasant situation. Malcolm had a way of making someone comfortable, even with idle chit-chat. When we came to the foyer, we found Garret and Bethany setting down a few bags of their belongings with Morrigan standing just off to the side. Malcolm chuckled and looked at me. Well, it would seem the pair came to their senses and have seen the opportunity for what it is. "It would seem so," I laughed as I gave Morrigan a thankful expression. "I honestly couldn't believe my ears when Alan told me you two were displeased with his offer to bring you to the college. He's done so much for us already and is trying to do more for you than your mother or I ever could." Morrigan stepped forward and offered Malcolm a hand before Garret or Bethany could. "Yes, well, when Alan went to speak with you, I impressed upon them the good it would for them, as well as the rest of your family. 3 Amels in the Amelian College would only heighten the prestige of your name and bring better fortune to you all. And with their obvious talents with magic, why should they do any less than help educate future generations for a time?" "Ah," Malcolm approved. "Well said, young lady. Well said indeed. And who are you, if I may ask?" "Certainly," Morrigan purred. "You may call me Morrigan. I am one of the professors at the college. And a lovely professor at that," Malcolm winked. "If you don't mind my saying so. Oh, Alan neglected to tell me his uncle had a silver tongue," Morrigan chuckled softly. "We are so looking forward to having your son and daughter come to the college. Alan speaks of their abilities and potential so highly." "Is that so?" Malcolm asked, then looked to Garret and Bethany. "You see? Your cousin brags about you to other professors. You should be happy that he's giving such a wonderful opportunity." "Oh, you have no idea," Garret replied with a slightly sarcastic edge. "I see you're packed already," Malcolm observed. He looked at me. "Won't you at least stay for dinner? Surely there's no real rush to spirit them away." "I think we could stay for dinner," I nodded. "But we will have to leave directly afterwards. We have a guest coming soon that I want to arrive in time for. It must be someone extremely important, if even a few hours could make a difference," Malcolm mused. "Indeed, uncle," I smiled wide. "It's Princess Merida Oradum." "The dwarven mage?" Malcolm gasped. "Oh, my lad, how I envy you to have met a genuine wonder, and my children will get to meet her as well. My envy truly knows no bounds." "She and Alan are close friends, in fact," Morrigan smiled. "He admires her greatly." The expression she shot me was a cat-like teasing one that dared me to say anything. "Is that so?" Malcolm looked at me, clearly impressed. "We became friends during our time at Ostagar," I clarified. "Her mastery over magic is unparalleled by any modern mage, I would wager. She's devoted herself to its practice in a way that would put any of us here to shame. If it's not too much trouble, my lad, could I ask that you try to convince her to start a correspondence with me? I would so love to speak with her even through letters," he asked with anticipation. "I make no promises, of course, but I'll see what I can do, I placated him. I'll do my best to convince her. We took the rest of the evening to have dinner. I explained my plans to Malcolm, his wife, and their son Carver. Carver was jealous up until I said that these plans likely meant that he would inherit the Lothering house and its farm. Carver had insecurity issues when it came to his siblings since he wasn't a mage, but realizing his inheritance put him in much better spirits. After dinner, we left for the college by carriage. It would take us some time, but by the time we got back, Merida should be coming for our annual meeting. Something to look forward to.